Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're taking a look at the Megami device number 7, Chaos and Pretty Magical Girl. And yeah, this is going to be a kit that may not be appealing to everyone, I understand that. And as I think I mentioned in the unboxing, it wasn't a kit that I was ever actually planning on getting either. I like the Frame Arms Girls kits, the Megami device kits, and these kits kind of in general. Not all of them, but a lot of them I do really enjoy. These two particular I wasn't really all that into it though, just the kind of the general style of them and the weapons of them just wasn't really all very appealing for me. But I did finally break down and pick up the pair of them, and I gotta say, after building this kit, I am very happily surprised at how much I ended up really enjoying this kit. Now, a lot of the weapons still I don't really find all that appealing. It's sort of like just the style of them. You'll see here when we go through all of the many accessories that this kit does have shortly. But in the end, after building it, I can say that I do now really like this kit a lot, so I'm glad that I picked it up. So I, again, understand that this may not be appealing for a lot of you guys, but if you're the kind of person who does like building some of the Frame Arms Girls kits and Megami device kits, then, you know, if you're like me and maybe didn't quite like this at first, I would say give it a chance. If you get a chance to pick it up at a good price, you may change your mind like me. So we'll get into all the accessories here in just a moment. As always, guys, though, just gotta say a big thank you to Gundam Store for sponsoring the review. You can get all sorts of Kotobukiya kits, Frame Arms Girls, Megami device kits, and of course Gunpla over there on their site. The link is down below, and you can save 10% with that coupon code. There's ZakuAurelius 10 as well. So alright, let's get into it. So first thing, we've got a set of water-slide decals here, basically some different eye options and some Megami device logos. That is pretty much it, so not very extensive. For the face options, we've got 3 as usual. The first one is just kind of this standard, just kind of slightly smiling, just kind of normal face. Then we've also got this open mouth winking face that adds a lot more charm to it, I think. And then this angry sneering face, which also has a lot of personality, a lot of character into it. So I think the face options for this kit are really quite nice. For hand options, we've just got these kind of open resting hands, as well as closed fists, open expressive hands, holding hands, trigger finger hands, and then another set of holding hands and trigger finger hands, but these ones have the wrist as just a fixed wrist there, so these would be good for holding up heavier weapons. Then you do have the option of making it this form here without all the extra stuff on it, so I'll show you that a little bit later on in the review. But in order to do that, you're going to need a bunch of these parts here, including just the bare feet parts here and some different parts for the arms and neck and a couple of different internal parts there that will give you the full skin tone look for the arms and legs. And if you didn't like the pink hair, we do also have the hair in just regular brown as well, so you have that option. And this part on the head, which I keep thinking that this really just reminds me of Eva 02 head, just like stuck on there on the top of her head. If, for example, you didn't like that, you can see that just plugs onto here, this part for the bangs. You just have just the regular bangs part here, so you can just swap that out if you wanted to have the head without the thing on the top of it. Alternatively, if you did want to have that little cap on the top of the brown hair, you do also have the same part for plugging that onto the top of that hair instead if you want. Then you have an option set here for these parts at the forearm and on the thigh. If you wanted to plug something onto there, you have these optional parts here. You have a set, you have 2 of these, so you can have one on each limb. But anyway, for plugging on some sort of extra weapon or accessory or something there onto the side of the arm or the leg. And now let's get into the weapons, but here's where it gets a little bit hairy because there is kind of a lot that you can do with mixing and matching these, but I'll just show you kind of how they're meant to be built just straight out of the box according to the instructions first, and then, you know, later on we can maybe try out some different combinations. But here is the first thing is this kind of baseball bat looking weapon essentially. And then we've also got this kind of mace weapon here with these clear spikes there out the ends of there, so that looks pretty cool. You've got this chain bit which can be plugged into those or different things or different combinations of different weapons. And it's meant, I think this is meant to also look like it's sort of like a beam energy sort of weapon here. You've got a set of these clear orange blast effect parts, and then you also have these little bits in here which you can use just on their own, just this smaller one, or this can be combined with this to make a fuller effect like that. Can of course combine them together like this as well for a more full effect. Then we also have these effect parts which are really super cool. So there's 3 different layers, so you can use all 3 or just 2 or just a single one. So these have this really cool pattern molded into there. So basically the name of the game with these is mixing and matching these different parts to make all sorts of different cool stuff. We've also got this cool fluorescent clear set of sort of wings that can go on the back of her like that, we'll see, or you can use this for different weapons or something too. You can see in the manual one of the options that it's got displayed here is using that as sort of like a sickle on that part, so that's something that you can do with that. We've got a few more other just little connector pieces in that clear fluorescent pink. So these can be used for just connecting different effect parts together. We've also got an additional 2 little clear spikes. So again, it's all just for mixing and matching different stuff. Got these 2 little pink parts here. Now these are for the hair. If you didn't want to have these like little heart bits in there, you can just remove that part and replace that with this little pink part in here like that, and then just have the hair just straight to the head like that without that heart bit in there if you wanted. And then last but certainly not least is our base included here with this. So you've got a couple points for articulation. It's on a ball there at the end, and at the top it's also on a ball, and this can also be raised and lowered along here, kind of tight, but that can be raised and lowered a bit. Anyway, really cool there for the base. You've got the two-tone there with this kind of dull finish around on the edge, and then it's got just the gloss finish there for the Megami device logo in the center. And one more thing, aside from a bunch of leftover extra wrist joints and things like that, you have just the extra joint parts there. We do also have this, which is a connector piece for the neck. If you wanted to put a Frameworms girl's head onto this, it uses a different size ball joint for that, so you've got this extra piece in there for that. So as you can see, I could basically spend hours and hours in here doing all sorts of different weapon options and combinations and all sorts of different poses and things for you guys. So I will do a handful of them at the end of the review here, but let's first just take a look at some of the articulation for this. So also, just want to point out a few things. Aside from the eyes being pre-painted on there, there's a couple other pre-painted parts. This little red bit there for the kind of necktie, that's pre-painted. The orange bit there at the neck, that's also pre-painted. But unfortunately, we do have a fair amount of stickers with this kit as well, which is pretty odd for a Kotobukiya kit in general, especially for a Megami device kit. This one has a lot of stickers, so all the lighter yellow bits around here on the skirt, that's all sticker, 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 all the way around on that, including these ones here, and they're peeling off. So just be aware of that. The stickers really aren't that great. And then down here at the boot here as well, it's two stickers, one wraps around the back and then one on the front there. Otherwise the part itself is just all in this orangish color, so you've got 2 big stickers on that as well. And then up here for the eyes of the Ava head, those little green stickers there as well. But for the articulation, we'll start with the hair. Now with these bits plugged in, it can only rotate. That's just a straight peg, but as you saw, we have the option part of that extra little just pink ball joint part. So if you don't use this heart bit, those do have more articulation on the little pink part instead for that hair. The head will go much farther back than you're ever going to want it to. I suppose if you wanted to have it posed like this, then it's maybe not going to look all that strange as long as you look at it straight from the front. But otherwise, as I've said in past reviews, for these kits, kind of the more you can hide the neck, the better, because the neck just never really seems to look quite right. It always looks a little bit strange, but you can of course rotate that as well. It's just on a ball joint, so you can kind of move that around in all sorts of different ways. There's a ball joint inside the head, and then down at the bottom there's a hinge to move that forward and back. Arm will come all the way up like that, so no problems there, and then this whole bit will rotate forward. These kind of shoulder blade parts there at the back that are iconic to the Megami device line, those will rotate all the way forward like that, so a nice forward reach as well. In the arms, you've got rotation here in the middle of the upper arms, a little bit tight, and I've just found with these kits, the arms pop out kind of fairly easily, so just be a little bit careful with that. That's why I'm kind of rotating this. One thing that you could do is just take the arm out and then rotate the arm how you want, because it's quite tight here, but a little bit loose in the shoulder joint. So rotate that, and you've got just a single joint there at the elbow, but it does give you a pretty full bend there despite it just being just the single joint. And the wrist is just on a hinge that can go forward and back, but then you can also rotate that around, so you can get it in pretty much any angle that you would want, and it can be rotated as well. So no problems with that. Down here in the torso, we've got 2 points for articulation, one here between like the chest and the stomach, and then one there between basically the lower section, the abdomen, and the actual like hip section. So this front part here will give you a good forward bend, like almost 90 degrees. So again, it's going to be looking a little bit strange from certain angles, but that is the extent of that. Back, it also goes really far back as well, and then side to side like that as well. So any angle you want to get this in, it's not going to be an issue. And then again, down here, this will also bend forward and back there at the basically kind of like the top of the hips. This skirt section is connected here at the back of the abdomen, so it can be kind of hinged up and down a little bit like that. there at that section. The legs can be brought out all the way out to the side like that, all the way up to the front to there. I think the internal part they're able to drop down a little bit to get more forward movement, but even still I'm only really able to be getting about 90 degrees forward out of the leg bend there, so I think that's going to be about the extent of it. But again, you can just rotate or bend like the rest of the body like that, so you can get the leg kicked up really far upwards. You just have to kind of rely not just only on the hip joint but the rest of the body to kind of work it up like that. Anyway, double joint here at the knee to give you a full 180 degree bend there, and you have some rotation down here at the boot, so you can rotate that, and then you can bend that backwards to there. You have a little bit of a toe bend here as well, forward up to there like that, and then these can also rotate side to side on this point there like that. But alright, so yes, I'll wrap up the review here by giving you just a few different views of some different poses and things that you can do with this. But again, there is a lot more than I could possibly show you in this video. That is one of the great things to love about these kits, and these kits especially. I feel like there's just so many option parts in this kit. It's kind of overwhelming. And even one more thing that I forgot to mention when we were going through all of that before is the little shield thing on the side of her hand as well. There's also that little bit there that's made up of a couple different parts, so you can mix and match with those as well and plug some different stuff into. There's a hard point on the back of that part as well. So there's just a lot of stuff in here. So that's just kind of the name of the game with this kit. You've got a cool solid kit here with a really nice articulation and just a really cool look to it as is, and then you just got a million different ways to customize it. So that is just this kit. And then we also have the Witch version, and then mixing and matching different parts between the two different versions together, and then all of the other Kotobukiya stuff, all the other Megami device kits and Frame Arms Girls kits and anything else from Kotobukiya, and even any Bandai parts that are using the same size 3mm peg. All of the vast options for this kit are overwhelming. I think that's a good way to put it, really, to be honest. But I suppose overwhelming in a good way, because it's certainly a positive of the kit. It's always nice to have more options than having not enough, I suppose. But it's not to say the kit is without flaws. Definitely, I think the most obvious flaw with this one is just going to be the use of the stickers for those parts there for the skirt and the boots. Those stickers are unfortunate. I can kind of understand maybe for the parts on the front of the boot, maybe, but the other yellow parts for the back of the boots and for the skirts, I really wish that those would have been separate parts. Even though they would be kind of small and possibly finicky parts, having those as separate parts, it just, I think, would have been more up to the standard that we would expect from Kotobukiya for kits like this. So a little bit disappointing there, but I'm willing to overlook that for just the fact of how cool the kit is and all, again, option parts. So now that I think I've hammered home that point as much as I possibly can, we'll take one last look here at the kit in its simple form without all the option parts. If you, for some reason, want to get the kit and have all of these option parts and just choose not to use any of them, let's have a look here at the kit like that. Alright, so here it is, the simple form here. The only thing is that you just now have a whole lot of stuff that you're not going to be using if you choose to keep it in this particular form. But then again, of course, if you have other Megami device or Frame Arms Girls kits, then you can give all your extra parts to a different kit and make some really super elaborate weapons or something like that. But anyway, it's an awesome kit, and like I said, you can usually find it for a pretty good price, and it's not really all that expensive, so definitely worth checking out if you wanted to build something like this. I guess, like I said, again, if you enjoy this type of kit, then I would recommend it. If you're not really into this type of kit, then I would assume you probably even haven't made it to this point in the review. But if you have, then check out some Frame Arms Girls or Megami device kits at some point. If not this one, check out one of them that maybe you think looks more interesting to you, but I would definitely recommend building at least one of them at some point in time. They're a lot of fun. And so that's going to be it for the review, guys. If you do have any other further questions or comments, of course, feel free to leave those down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.